Have you ever wondered if there's like an actual formula for success? A set of principles that could take you from where you are right now to where you've always dreamed of being? Well, today we're going to break down a blueprint for exactly that kind of radical transformation.
And hey, this isn't just some theory. This is the real-life journey of Natalie Dawson. We're talking about going from a $5,000 a year intern to the CEO of a company that has generated over $500 million in revenue. That's the kind of change we're talking about, and these are the principles that got her there. All right, so here's our game plan. We're going to break this whole blueprint down into 3 key phases. First, the inner game of your mindset. Then, the outer game of action. And finally, the social game of your network. And we'll wrap it all up with a really important question just for you. Let's dive in. Okay, first up, the inner game. Because look, before you can change anything on the outside, you absolutely have to get crystal clear on what's happening on the inside. This is all about getting your mindset and your vision locked in.
So this whole inner game, it really boils down to 3 things. Being brutally, almost uncomfortably honest with yourself, constantly seeing that future you in your mind's eye, and then actually doing the math to figure out what it's all going to take.
So principle number 1, honesty. It's really about one thing. You gotta stop pretending. You have to get so real about what you truly want. A vision board is an amazing tool for this because it physically maps out that dream life and forces you to see the gap between today and that future.
And we're not talking about just vague ideas here. Specificity is everything. Dawson's early vision board had a picture of supportive friends to travel with because she felt like she didn't have that. It had a woman literally shattering a clock to symbolize taking back control over her time anxiety. And yeah, it had glittering money to represent a future without financial stress. These aren't just pictures, they're promises to yourself.
Which brings us to the second principle, visualization. And it's all captured in these 3 little words: be, do, have. And listen, the order here is absolutely crucial. You have to first become the person who's capable of hitting the goal. Then you do the things that person would do, and only then can you have the results you want. So many of us get this totally backward.
And this visualization thing can be super practical. For 5 straight years, Dawson and her husband had a picture of a private jet with their company logo on it as their phone's lock screen. Just think about that. Multiple times an hour, every single day, they were reminded of this massive goal. That's relentless visualization.
So this brings us to the third part of the inner game, calculation. This is where the dreams have to meet the data. It's a simple question, but it's one that most of us kind of avoid. What is the exact number? How much does that dream life actually cost? Down to the dollar, every single month. And getting real about that number isn't just about what you can get for yourself. When you calculate the cost, you also start to see the potential for massive impact. Dawson's company has paid out over $100 million to its team. Suddenly, that calculation wasn't just for a private jet, it was for building something that could change hundreds of lives. Okay, so your internal vision is locked and loaded. Now we shift gears to step 2, the outer game. This is where the vision smacks right into reality. It is all about taking massive action and embracing the discipline it takes to see it all through. And the outer game really just comes down to 2 things: creating undeniable value by getting the right skills, and then making the sacrifices, choosing discipline when everything in you is screaming for comfort. So principle number 4, value creation, is about targeted learning. Find the people who already have what you want. Figure out what they know, but here's the crucial step, the one most people miss. You have to move from just being inspired to actually implementing. Listening to stuff feels productive, sure, but real value is only created when you actually do the work. And that leads us right into principle number 5, sacrifice. We have got to reframe this word. It's not about losing something. It's a strategic trade. You are trading short-term comfort for a long-term dream. It's about deliberately choosing to be uncomfortable so you can build the habits your future self is going to thank you for. I mean, check this out for a real-world example. During quarantine, when a lot of us were kind of slipping into bad habits, Dawson chose 5 daily sacrifices to forge new ones. Bedtime at 9:30, wake up at 5 a.m., work out every day, train on a new sales topic every day, and no alcohol. Every single one of those was a conscious choice, a daily sacrifice that compounded into a whole new identity.
And this builds perfectly into our final phase, step 3, the social game. So you've worked on your mind, you've worked on your actions, now it's about who you surround yourself with and the final crucial piece of your own identity.
The last 2 principles are all about the people in your life.
Number 6, selectivity, is about deliberately, consciously choosing your circle. And number 7, reflection, is about turning that mirror on yourself and becoming the kind of person that circle would want to be around. For a masterclass in selectivity, just look at this. This is the exact direct message Natalie Dawson sent to her future mentor, Alina Cadone, long before they had ever met. Can you imagine the guts it takes to send that? That's not waiting for an introduction. That's declaring your intention to be in that circle.
But let's be totally honest about what this takes. To make room for the new people you want in your world, you have to be willing to say no to people who are holding you back in your current world. And yeah, for a while, that can be a really lonely process. That's a sacrifice most people aren't willing to make.
And this brings us to the final and maybe the most challenging principle of all, reflection. It forces you to ask yourself this incredibly humbling question. It's not enough to want to be in the room, you have to become someone who actually adds value to the room.
Dawson tells this scarring but super powerful story of seeing one of her idols at a restaurant in New York, and in that split second, she had this brutal, honest thought, I'm not impressive enough, yet. That painful moment of reflection wasn't a defeat, it was the rocket fuel she needed to go and do the work to become impressive.
So, there you have it. We've walked through the inner game, the outer game, and the social game. We've seen how your mindset, your actions, and your network all have to weave together to create this blueprint for your dream life. Now, it's about putting it to work.
So let's just run through the entire framework one last time. It starts with honesty to define that dream, then visualization to see the future, calculation to know the real cost, value creation to build the skills you need, sacrifice to pay the price, selectivity to choose your circle, and finally reflection to become the person who is worthy of it all.
And that leaves us with one final crucial question. And this one's for you. You have the blueprint now. You've seen all 7 principles. So looking at your own life right now and the gap between where you are and where you truly want to be, what is the very first gap you're going to close?